All right. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome to our very last conversation on Ready to Love Dallas, or at least for a while. Welcome, welcome. You guys come on in. You guys know this is the last conversation that we are doing on Ready to Love Dallas, and I am excited for tonight's guest to join me here in a few minutes. It looks like the chat is ready. And I appreciate you guys being here. I want to ask you before we bring Quentin on, um, if you're going to tune in, we are speaking on. We are going to be doing recaps on Ready to Love's new show, Make a Move, on Friday nights. And so, put an XO in the chat if you would tune in for that. I'm interested to know if people are as interested in Make a Move as they are Ready to Love. I think this is a great opportunity for Will Packer and his team because if you guys watch other reality shows on other networks, you know that often there are spin-offs from the show that do really, really well. Thank you so much, Kay. Thank you so much, Amanda, China Doll. Thank you. Itty Bitty too. Thank you guys. So that's good to know that you guys would be tuning in. Princess, I am interested to know also why they chose New Orleans. I'm also just interested to know why they didn't pick. This is just me giving my opinion, not that I'm a producer of the show or anything, but it's interesting to me why they didn't just pick one city and do like all stars. To me, it would make sense to start in Atlanta since they started the show here because there are so many other Ready to Love alumni that are not in relationships. And so doing a show in a city where, you would find someone in the city to me would make a lot more sense because asking grown people um, to move to another city when they have businesses and they have their lives that they've already started is just kind of strange to me. So I don't know even know why they chose that, but I'm sure there's an answer. Will Packer is a genius, and so I'm sure he has an answer to that. Hold on really quickly. I'm just checking a text message. Um, but yeah, we're going to talk to Quint tonight. And I'm excited to have this conversation. I want to say this because this season has been so volatile as far as the comments, even on this channel and on social media. And I do my best to always be as to try to operate in grace. And I feel like I do that as much as I can. But I've even gone back and forth with a few people on social, on Instagram, um, because I don't understand why certain things are it's hard to see through certain things, right? But I realized something today as I was talking about it. Um, Caramel says it's giving pure entertainment. I realized that, all of us kind of take our personal lives into how we interpret these shows, right? So there's probably people that can relate to different people on the show. And as a response, our answers and our support for each cast member. Hey, Tamasha, thank you so much for tuning in. Andrea, thank you so much. Hey, lady. Chinese, good to see you. Good to see you. I'm glad you're able to catch this live. But I think because we all relate to different people, right? So some people could see themselves in Kat, and some people could see themselves in Lee. Other people could see themselves in Kiera. Other people could see themselves in Jessica or Janelle. And so I think because we are able to see ourselves in these people that we don't know, it makes us really, really um, a lot more sensitive to the conversation. And it's really not about the person. It's really us trying to protect and support, our own insecurities, our own flaws. So I just want to ask, I just want to ask that we all just kind of take a moment again as we're passionately discussing the show and just remember that these are all people. All of us are on a journey. Um, all of us are trying to figure things out and we all make mistakes. Now, you and I are not making our mistakes on national television, which is why we kind of have, an upper hand. In some situations, we can sit back and say, well, they shouldn't have done this. But the reality is, I really am glad that none of my dating experiences were broadcast over national television. I made some really bad choices. Thank God I learned from those. Hi, the only one. Thank you so much for tuning in from New York. That's what's up. Cassius, what's going on? But yeah, I just wanted to say that really quickly. We did have a recap of the part two of the reunion with Mo and I. You know, Mo is fun. Mo's comments don't necessarily always reflect mine, and I'm sure vice versa. We look at things different because he's a man and I'm a woman. We're friends, but we each have our own thought process. And so, you know, I appreciate him tuning in, and I think he does a great job of bringing a male's perspective. What's up, Just Brina? Thank you so much for tuning in from Huntsville, Alabama. Like I said, we're just waiting on Quentin to join us, and he's going to be jumping on here shortly. I'm going to make sure that um, he has the correct, um, he has the correct link so that he can join us. But and I know that people have a lot of questions for him. So once he joins, if you can put your questions in the comments, you know, I try my best to always. Thank you so much. I come in peace. I appreciate that. I try to make sure I get to as many of your comments as possible. I think that, you know, one of the things that I want to ask Quentin about, because, you know, we saw all season long a lot of the young ladies saying that he was not comfortable talking to them. And a lot of people felt like he was afraid, but I don't think that he was afraid of Janelle. I'm looking forward to hearing his comments. I don't necessarily think that he was afraid. I think that he made a decision. And we're not sure what decision that was or why he made that decision, but that's for him to discuss. But I don't think that he was necessarily afraid of her. I think that grown ass men do what grown ass men want to do. You know, that's what I've always been taught, that men do what they want, and you have to listen very carefully. That's probably the best feedback that my mother gave me early on, is that listen to what a man says and watch what he does. And a lot of times as women, we're just like, okay, well, what does he want? And then when we don't hear what we want, we assign different, well, he probably said that because he means, no, girl, he said what he meant. He did what he wanted to do. And if that's not you, it's okay. It's okay. There'll be something else for you. But the most important thing is you don't want someone that doesn't really want to be with you. So if a man picks someone else, you know, you got to let him go, because you don't want someone, you know, spending time with you because you're trying to convince him. Like, you shouldn't have to convince anyone, which is why I really appreciated Lee removing herself from the situation, because it was obvious that his attention was elsewhere. So without further ado, I'm saying what I think, but I'm going to bring Quentin on himself, and we're going to get into this with him. So please help me welcome my guest for tonight, Quentin.
What's going on?
Hey, Quentin, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Well, first of all, thank you so much for joining. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. I did have a good weekend. I
Okay.
did just did some work. Went out to a little Drake event, so it was good.
Okay.
It was good.
Well, first of all, are you glad that this season is over?
I am ecstatic.
I
I
had
did.
a sneaky suspicion
I
that
did.
you were going to be glad that you were going to be glad this was over. Did you watch the part two of the reunion on Friday?
Yeah, I watched it. I've seen everything.
You've seen everything.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay. All right. Well, first, I want to let's start here, because we reached out to you earlier in the season, and you said you would come on after everything was over, and I can appreciate that, because that way you could just say what you had to say, and that would be
The
it.
whole pack ain't got to do nothing.
So I want to ask you, if you could end this sentence, the thing I learned, the biggest lesson that I learned in my journey on Ready to Love is, what would the ending of that sentence be?
Intentionality. Um, I would say that was probably the biggest word that I came out of it with. I think with dating in general, we're not very intentional.
Yeah.
Uh, I think we meet people and it's like, oh my God, I like you. and we are in that like stage for like 6 months or a year, or some people like years on years. The biggest thing that came out with the show was, we were told to have specific conversations, and
Yeah.
we weren't supposed to see each other outside. So it was like, okay, the only time I get to see you and really like have these conversations is on camera.
Mm.
So coming out of it, it was, now when I go about dating, it's all right. I'm not, enthralled by, how you look or anything like that. It's just, all right, bet. Like, let me see if you're a good fit. Let me see if you match the purpose in my life, and I match yours. So that's
Yeah.
definitely how I came out of it.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's talk about what your experience was like before you came onto the show, because there's usually a mix of people that I don't think that any of the guys, specifically yourself, probably don't have any trouble attracting women. Um,
Mhm.
you don't seem to, that doesn't seem to be an issue. So I wonder, what was it? Were you recruited, or did you truly want to find love on the show? Like, what drew you to this opportunity?
So a couple things drew me to it. I have been getting recruited for like a number of shows,
Mhm.
just because of the traction, I believe, with my TikTok. So that was getting a lot of traction. So I was getting approached, but I was never a fan of reality TV, or especially dating shows, because a lot of the things that I want to experience and do, like, I don't want to do that on TV. I want
Yeah.
to do it in real life. I want to like be in complete control of that. Um, and I'm a authentic person, as far as like, I'm the guy that I want to meet you in the grocery store randomly. Like, I don't want the force, like, oh, let me go on a blind date, or let me do these dating apps or anything like that. Like, I hate that forced kind of situation. But, throughout the years, and through a healing process, it was like, okay, well, this show is a little bit different. I don't have to get married. We're only just dating. So when I had friends bring it up to me, we were actually on a trip to Austin, and I had another friend that was auditioning for the show, and
Mhm.
they're like, you should do it, you should do it, you should do it. And I'm like, you know what? I'll go through the process, and we'll see. And if I get picked, and then I'll make a decision. And so when my dating life, for the past 2 or 3 years, I had been on a healing journey. I
Mhm.
had dated some women. I had hurt some women, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um, I was hurt myself. And so I wanted to try something different. And so it kind of all just came together. So that's how I ended up on the show.
I did hear a snippet of an interview that you did, I think yesterday or maybe the day before, and you mentioned that you have been on a healing journey. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what you learned? Because I'm always interested. We don't often hear, honestly, Quentin, we don't hear men talk about healing after being hurt, right?
Yeah.
Which I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of times women talk about it and we come and we, cry, and men just go out and find other women and probably have, it looks like you guys don't really experience hurt. We know that you do, but we don't really see it. So I would love to for you to kind of share with us what made you say, I need to
Sure.
I need to figure this out, and I need to do something to change this behavior.
Well, for one, I had my previous relationship. It ended in 2020,
Mhm.
and that was probably one of the hardest decisions to break up with her, because she was literally a person who I had sought after for a long time. And when she finally gave me the opportunity, I was excited, and so once we dated, it was all about her, just making sure she was good and everything like that. And so at the end of the relationship, it was just under 3 years. I had to look in the mirror, because I was steadily calling my best friends and crying and doing all this stuff. And I had to realize, I was like, yo, like, I can't do another year of this, because we were talking about moving into uh, another apartment, and what do we want to do. And I couldn't bring myself to be like, yo, if we're gonna move into another house, we're gonna be in this thing again for like another
At
year.
least at
And I
least
was like, and I can't do another year. And so once I made that decision, I ended the relationship. But that was, like I said, it was the toughest decision I ever had to make, and it took me a while. It took me a while to not only stop crying, but to be able to date again and kind of regain my confidence. And that was probably the biggest thing, is just regaining my confidence in that whole process. And so up until late last year, I was at a point where I had done all the work individually.
Mm-hmm.
I had done all the work individually, and my thing was, all right, now how do I test my healing in a dating process?
Yeah.
And so I was dating on and off. But when the opportunity came up, I was like, you know what, let me try something different. So let me see if this can help, where I'm at in
Mm-hmm.
my healing. So I think it's very important to just be honest about where you are emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
um, especially with your partner, your friends, or anything like that. A lot of men and some women, they hear men talk about their emotions and healing and all this other stuff, and it's like, can I curse?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
After 7, we're good.
um, just like they hear men talk about their emotions and feelings, and it's like, oh man, he's a bitch and all this other stuff. But like me, I've always stood on a man that's able to remain in his manly energy and still talk about his emotions or cry. That's more of a man than anything else. So
Right.
I've never really subscribed to the point of like, oh, like I can't talk about this because I don't want to seem this way or whatnot. Like I've always, been able to express myself and still stand on, like, you can't tell me anything about me. Like I know I'm a man. So
Yeah. And I think that attitude and that stereotype is changing. Do you think so? Like a little bit, we're starting to like. First of all, I think the younger generation is really not. You guys are not really allowing the old. My son tells me toxic masculinity in
yeah,
our lives. It's not really going anymore. But I think that's changing. You have more men stepping up and talking about the fact that they were hurt. I do want to ask you with the woman that you were talking about before. This is something I was talking to a girlfriend of mine about earlier, this idea of like love bombing and how we can meet someone. For me, when I've had that experience, it was someone that was the exact physicality of what I would want. Like if I prayed to God, this is what I would like my man to look like, that person showed up.
yeah,
Like, and I just could not, even though it was clear he was not good for me, he was
yeah.
not a bad person, just wasn't good for me. Because it was exactly what, if I could have drawn it out, it would
Mm,
have been that. And I think men are usually even more visual than women.
yeah.
So a lot of times you see the beauty, men see the beauty and they just be like gone. And it takes us a while to be like, okay, I'm giving everything because it's more about the idea of the person than the reality.
Mhm. You hit that on the head, because a lot of the woman who I was involved with was somebody who fit my mold to a T.
Yeah.
Just the relationship that we had, the friendship, the way she carried herself, and like I said, she was somebody who I sought after, that and that kind of ultimately like friend zoned me in the beginning, but we kept in touch, and we had a circle of friends that kind of stayed together. So we always saw each other. So when she came out of a relationship and she had got hurt, I was kind of there to like help her, and then we hopped in.
Hmm.
Looking back at it now, we should have never gotten a relationship. We should have never gotten a relationship, just because she needed time to heal, and I needed to be self-aware of not only me but her, and say, hey, we're not ready, you're not ready. We need to kind of take our time with this and see how you feel 6 months from now, or how
Yeah.
a year from now. And so a lot of the hurt that she dealt with in her past relationship just carried over.
Yeah.
So I think when we see something that we like or that fits our exact mold, because it's usually physically, it's always usually physically, um, we want to go after it, and then we accept different consequences because of that. Whether it's oh, but he's this, and or she's, what I'm saying,
Yeah.
bro, she got fat ass, bro. I'm gonna just, you know what I mean, like. we give that to people, and that's not. I've always talked about kind of shrinking your list, right? Because people have like this huge list
Yep.
of what we want, and it's 10, 15, 20 things. And one of the things that also came out of it was, all right, and this was going into the filming process, was like, okay, when I come at it, I'm looking for 3 to 5 things, like someone who's content, someone who's disciplined, someone who loves God, someone, so those 3 things amongst some other things were, that was my list. And if you fit the mold this way or that way, that was fine. But I knew with those 3 to 5 things, I was good. And I could really explore something, with who I was dating.
No, that makes sense. I tell people the same thing. It's like I learned because I used to have a very long list,
Yeah.
and then I had to shrink my list. And I think it's like you shouldn't have any more than 5 things.
Yeah.
And I think most of those things should not be external.
Thanks.
I don't personally think, and I know the ladies in the chat may not agree. I don't think it can be financial either. I think you can want someone who's responsible, but I don't think that a number
Yeah.
is smart because life is a continuum. So I
And
appreciate you sharing that.
I think when people, because I had somebody had said it on a live, and somebody was like, "Oh, somebody who's disciplined is so vague," and I said, "It is, but it isn't."
No.
Because if I want somebody who's disciplined, that means they're disciplined with their money. That means they're disciplined in their health. That means they're disciplined in their job and the things
Yeah.
that they do. You're not going to find somebody that's like, all right, well, I'm only going to be this way with that, and then I'm not going to give a fuck. Like that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That doesn't
That's true.
happen.
How you show up one place is how you show up in
Yeah.
other areas. Even the weaknesses that we have.
Facts. I am going to change into a shirt because
Okay.
I'm hot. So I'll be right back.
Okay. Will you do that? We'll just take a break. You guys, I appreciate Quentin sharing with us. So please leave some exos in the chat if you appreciate his just authenticity. I think it takes a lot. I think we need to hear more men be honest about the fact that, breakups can be hard for them as well. Even if we do see most of them out drinking and getting under other women, there that is not always the way that they heal. That is not the way that they heal. Actually, that kind of stops the healing. So I appreciate a man coming on and saying that he realized that he was hurting and he needed to do something about it. I think we have to show him some love. Thank you guys for that. So go ahead and keep dropping those exos in the chat while we allow Quentin to take off his sweatshirt because it looked like he was definitely going to be overheated.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we got some love for you in the chat for that honesty.
Bet. Yeah, I got that. I saw that people think I'm looking tired, depressed. I was like, I'm good. I got resting bitch face. So
Well, I figure this probably I would assume, and my background, I've been a entertainment publicist, so I'm used to preparing clients for interviews, and I'm sure the show is something that you enjoyed, but it's also probably something that you may not enjoy talking about all the time. So I'm assuming that you probably are like, how's this conversation?
Well, I mean, I think with the show, and especially because you have friends and family that are so invested, and anybody that comes into contact with you, they want to talk about it, or so it's a point of just kind of, hey, just give them the conversation, just talk about it. Like you can't be too selfish and be like, man, fuck, like, I don't want to talk about that shit. Like people enjoy the show, they're fans, so you gotta just give it to them.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's part of it going on it. That's a part that comes with it, but it probably could be. I cannot imagine. I want to ask you this. A lot of people in the chat are asking, what was that?
Somebody said blink twice if Janelle is in the chat.
Yeah, they're gonna come. That kind of stuff is gonna be there. But what did you when you went through that experience? Did you decide, okay, I'm not gonna put as much emphasis on physicality. I'm gonna or did you decide, okay, I'm still gonna look for what I want physically, but I also need the rest of it? Where are you at with that?
I honestly stopped. I mean, granted, I'm a man, so I like ass. So but I honestly stopped looking for physical attributes a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just not, and that's why my life is. That's why I say I want somebody that's disciplined.
Yeah.
Because if you're disciplined with your health, then I don't have to worry about like, oh well, she's she just eats whatever she wants, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like your body's just gonna look like whatever. Like, no, like if you care about your body, you care what you look like, cool,
Yeah.
that means you're disciplined. So like I'm good with that. That takes care of, for me, for the physicality. Now, do I want to go with fat ass? Absolutely. Like it's not, let's not like be
Right.
complete.
We keep it real.
Yeah.
But okay, I let me ask you this. Because when I first saw the show, when I first saw you guys walk in, you and I say this with all due respect to my husband who may or may not be watching, but you seem to be physically in the tip top of shape,
Hmm.
right? Not very much, pretty physically on 10.
Yeah.
Um, are you, and I, in my past have dated some personal trainers. Um, let me hurry up and move on before I get in trouble. But
Don't
no,
get in trouble.
but a lot of times men that are physically have themselves in a perfect way are not necessarily, they don't always have women that their women sometimes don't look like that, which is what people always assume. So
Yeah.
when I first saw the show, I saw you, and
Yeah.
then I knew that you. My husband is there. Hey, honey bunny. He knows I'm just kidding. I have he's perfect for me. But when I saw you and I seen that you're into physical fitness and that's your thing. And then we see Lee and she seems to be the physical perfection for a
Right.
woman.
Hmm.
I definitely don't go that way, but Lee's body, like Jesus Christ. I wish. I'm trying to figure out how I can get with her to get myself in that type of shape.
Sign up for a class.
Yeah, no, seriously, I'm definitely thinking of doing that. So I just assumed that that would be your physical type. Are
Hmm.
you physically drawn to women that are physically like yourself?
I mean, yes and no. Um, as long as you look good in your clothes. Like my ideal. If I see a woman in tight jeans and heels, and a loose top or whatever like that, if you look right in that, you look right. I'm good with that.
Yeah,
Like, um, sometimes they not always in the gym. You know what I mean? You may meet somebody that's, they'd be like, damn, you look good. You must work out. Nope, I ain't never worked out a day in my life. You know what I mean? So it's just like, um, I like to physically fit, but I'm not handcuffed to it. So when I saw Lee, of course, you know what I mean? Oh my gosh, she has a wonderful body. But I knew going in I couldn't be uh too critical on what I wanted, and I had to really just be open minded about who I meet, and just go forward from there. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I know I couldn't be too close minded. That was what I was looking for.
yeah. That makes sense. Just open to
Yeah, 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 yeah.
the process. Did you? So had you watched other seasons of Ready to Love? Had you watched and kind of seen how things went before?
Yeah, I once I got chosen or was in the process of the show, I started to watch. So I'm from Miami, obviously. Um, so I watched a couple of Miami seasons, and I think I watched the Houston season.
Okay.
So I was caught up on the show a little bit, but I I was mostly wanted to see. I was like, let me see what kind of people they got on that's representing my city, and they
Yeah.
mostly had people from like New York and all over the place. I was like, I don't even really got nobody from Miami. So
Yeah, they did. That was what we heard a lot about Miami and DC. Is
yeah.
there anybody on that cast that when you watch the show, I'm assuming if you watch the show, if I was getting ready to go on Ready to Love and I'm watching and I see someone that I think could be a good fit for me, I'd be like, oh, I wish there would be a person like that. Or why
Mhm.
couldn't I be on with this person? Was there anybody in Miami that you thought could have been a good fit for you?
The second season of Miami was, I think all the women looked pretty good. I don't ask me for names. I think one of the wild card that came in, she looked really good. Um, the I forget the girl's name, the light skinned girl. She always wore the big chain. Um, I forget her name. I don't
But
know.
you did see some women that you were
Yeah,
in.
yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So,
Cool.
so that's why when I saw, I was like, okay, they can choose some women. And just being in Dallas, I was like, they gonna bring some heat. So
Yeah.
I wasn't too worried about that.
Okay. So you get there, and let me ask you this, because one of the things that a lot of the people have said, and I did not agree with this, but you can tell me what you think. You did not seem really comfortable dating multiple women, right?
Mm-hmm.
You seemed a little uncomfortable. How did you kind of work that process in your head? Because it's an interesting thing, because even though you have to make decisions, you have to be intentional, you also have to stay cool enough with everybody on the show
Yeah.
to keep from getting voted out.
No, 100%.
So how do you see yourself managing that process? Like, did you think, okay, I'm gonna I'm interested in more than one person, or did you kind of just zero in initially from the beginning?
No, I definitely didn't zero in on Janelle from the beginning. Initially, I had connected with Aries Lee along with Janelle. Um, those were the top three that kind of garnered my attention from the mixer. Those are who I had the most genuine times with and laughed. And I was like, okay, like I could talk to them for real, for real.
Okay.
But going through the process within the first, like, I guess a week or two, me and Aries were kind of like, all right, like you're 10 years older, you have two kids, like you don't want no more kids, like let's just both bow out.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other women, I just initially, and I hate to like be like I wasn't interested in none of them, but like I don't feel that. But I think Sierra was really cool, but Sierra led with you know her antics kind of.
Hmm.
It was real expressive, and she was kind of too expressive for me.
Yeah.
Um, I wasn't attracted to Quilla or Unique. Unique kind of threw me initially at the mixer. She told a story about her inviting me to a party like years back, and she had dove into my DMs, and I was like, huh. And so that was it was kind of weird. So it threw me off from her.
Mm.
Um, Kira was cute, but not my type of cute.
Okay.
Um, who else was there? Um,
So later, Kat. What about when Kat joined?
so Cat came in. Okay, so let me say this. So during during filming, my grandmother got really sick.
Okay.
Right, my grandmother got really sick, and the day that Cat came in, or the time that Cat came in, I had shot down to Miami really quick,
Hmm.
check up on my grandma. So I think I was one of the last ones to see Cat.
Okay.
But throughout that time, Janelle and Lee were like uh, really implemental to like talking to me and helping me out through that process, because I honestly thought I was going to lose my grandmother, and we had even with production they had shot uh, me like telling them like how much I loved my grandmother and
Oh
the
wow.
things, and it was a bunch of stuff, and so they had me explain everything, why I was leaving, and I even did a scene with on the date with Unique and Kira about like, hey, I might have to leave the process.
Oh wow.
Um, so when I came back, um, I was really just focused on Janelle and Lee
Mm.
because they had been there, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I found two of the women that one who is we are so much alike, it's scary
Hmm.
to the point where we were calling each other twin. Um,
And that was Janelle.
that was Lee.
That was Lee. Okay.
That was Lee. And then with Janelle, it was so that is the type of interaction where I say like, I wish we like met in a grocery store real quick. You know what I mean? Because the cameras were off. Everyone was having a drink, and we just like found ourselves on the couch together. and we were just laughing, and it wasn't like, so where are you from?
Yeah.
What's your last relationship? It was really, we really just like joking and have a great time. So it was definitely different, and um, felt a lot better than all the other interactions.
Yeah.
Once I came back and I met Kat, we met Kat at I think it was the double date. It was either the double date or the hoedown. I can't remember the first time. I don't know which one it was. Maybe it was the double date with me, Janelle, Herbert, and her. Um, but when I got to that date, I thought I was only on a date with Janelle.
Oh, and they just sprung cat
So
on you.
they sprung the double date on us, and we had a conversation, and it was cool.
Hmm.
But like I already had a mind. I was like, I kind of want to talk to Janelle.
Yeah.
And so we had some things like we were talking, but there was no spark. And
Hmm.
for me, yes, it's a process of like, all right, well, they may not be a spark. We still like attempt to have a conversation, but like that's not me.
Yeah.
Me to just like, all right, let me have a conversation, just to have.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm because then I'm going to. I want to say like ignore your text messages, but like it's not going to be a priority.
Yeah.
Um, and I probably would have got the same reaction of Herbert of like, you take forever to respond, or
Right.
talk to me and everything like that. And one of the things that I expressed most to Tommy was, I want to give 100% to these ladies.
Hmm.
I don't want to give 50%. I don't want to give 20. I don't want to give 75. Like I want to be able to give 100% to whoever I'm talking to.
Hmm.
Now, it just so happened that it was only Lee and Janelle. Now, had Aries been a couple years younger, and
Hmm.
you know what I mean, I would have still been talking to her.
Is it the age? Because how old is Aries and how old is Janelle?
Aries is 44, I think, about to be 45.
Okay, and
Um,
Janelle is 42.
Janelle was 41 at the time.
Okay.
She just turned 42. So there's a 7 versus like 10-year difference. But with
Uh-huh.
Aries, it was,
The
I've
kid.
been divorced. I have 2 kids. I don't want any more kids. And so it
Yeah.
was like, okay, like we can bow. But honestly, me and Aries had a amazing connection because she's an Aries. I'm an Aries. So usually 2 Aries get along very, very well. Uh,
Yeah.
in which we did, but we understood that, it's
Yeah.
probably not gonna
Other
work.
stuff is not there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you think that the show, because there's so much that we didn't see, right? All those dates that you guys went on, I think it was hard for us to see. For me, I've said this, it was difficult to see a real connection with you and Janelle because all we saw was a lot of the back. Do you think that if we had seen more, that people would have had a different perspective of the connections? And we didn't see you and Lee at all. So it just seemed very weird that
It's just crazy.
it seemed really nuts. And then we saw her on dates with Marvin. Like it was just very
Yeah,
strange. And she said that when she came, she was like, she did not understand. So do you think that there was a disservice done with the edit?
100%, 100%. Because it's funny though, and I don't know why they edited this out, but um, I had went to Lee's gym, and we
Mhm.
had a date at the gym. We got a workout in. I had brought her flowers. We had made like up a little handshake, like, and so one of the biggest things was that me and Lee talked about was having so much in common, but it wasn't compatible. We weren't really compatible, or we were trying to like have a date where we had a good time, because we went on the first date, which was an amazing date, and then we had the gym date, and so we were like on a good point, on a good pace. But they couldn't. I think we were supposed to go somewhere, and it got canceled, and we couldn't find a place for like us to like go and have a good time. Because I think I was supposed to go play football
Mhm.
when they did the flag football thing, but I was out of town, so I couldn't go there. But they definitely. I didn't realize they didn't show a date between me and Lee until I had to really think back about it. I was like, damn, they really showed our first date and then didn't show anything else the whole entire thing. So it really made it seem like Q didn't even want Lee. Like,
Yeah.
but you listen, I think in like the second or third week, I was like, man, me and Janelle have a great connection, but I feel like me and Lee are together already. And I know people are like, well, how the hell they feel
Yeah,
like
we were
together?
so
And,
confused.
and we haven't even seen them. And
Yeah.
so, but there was a lot of behind the scenes going on. And Lee is, like I said, and Lee is one of the sweetest people. She really matched my energy as far as like wanting to do for your partner, being sweet, doing the little romantic things. Like we were filming interviews, and she had left a note on my car, and I had left it back, and so that was like really a lot of the cutesy stuff that I was like, damn, like I've never had a woman be this sweet with me. I was
Yeah.
like, it's something that I really need, because it's something like, if I cook, right, if I'm a chef, like I was a kitchen manager for 10 years. I love to cook. I have a meal prep business. I love to be in the kitchen, but if I find a woman that cooks, I'm like, do I need a woman that cooks? Or because you know what I'm saying, I got the kitchen, like I love to do this on my own. So
Mhm.
that's kind of where I was at with the kind of romantic stuff. I was like, well, I love to do this stuff, but like, and I love that she's doing it, but is this something that I need? And so that was something I had to kind of figure out.
Mm.
um I don't forgot where we was going with the question. What
Oh,
happened?
that's interesting. That's interesting. So she was doing sweet things. I asked you, did you think that there was the edit left that out?
Oh yeah. So yeah,
I also want to ask you, do you think that the edit did not really show the best parts of Janelle? Because
100%. And even up until this day, I think I hit her and Moria and Jess about it the other day, because they did a recap of Jess and Moria's connection, and it was beautiful. And I was like, damn, that's great. And so me in my mind, I'm like, refresh, like they gotta do one of us. They
yeah,
have to. But they didn't. And so and to me, that was just a disservice to them, kind of relinquishing to the point that like they wanted to paint Janelle as not like this lovey-dovey girl, because like she said, I forget where she said it, but she said that, Quentin just kind of makes me like feel schoolgirlish.
mhm,
Um, and there was a lot of that they caught on camera that they did not show. And so I think they run with what they want to run with. And
mhm,
even with Marvin, I said to him, I said, bro, I think I had a conversation with him. I said, you gave him this. Well, I don't know if I had a conversation with him or somebody else, but I said, you gave them this. You think
yeah,
they're not gonna run with the fact that you do all these things
yeah,
sexually?
yeah,
Like I know you probably present all these other things, but it's a show. So they're gonna run with what gets the ratings and what brings people in. So of course they're gonna show it, and they're
yeah,
gonna paint you as, the sex guy. So um you they use what they give you. And
yeah,
so my parents actually hit me, and they were like, well, why are they not showing you so much? And I was like, I ain't give them that much for them to edit, you know what I mean? So Janelle gave them enough to paint her as what they did. um
do you think that overall she was done an injustice the way that she looks on camera?
um she gave them enough ammo, but they could have definitely showed a different, a softer, not to say a softer side.
Hmm.
They could have showed the beauty of the connection that me and her had.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Even at the brunch date, which was right after the mixer, we have like a 2-second clip, like when they were introducing brunch, and then they showed nothing else.
hmm, hmm,
Um, so it was kind of like, you're able to show this, but you don't want to show it. So I'm not gonna say, they could have, painted a whole different picture of her.
hmm.
Um, but they definitely could have said, all right, well, we still want to, you gave us this, but we still want to show the beauty of the connection that you and Q had. And they just decided not to do that for whatever reason. Now, she wasn't the best of friends with production, which is probably,
Or the rest of the cast. but let me ask you this, because I think I had the same conversation with Marvin, right? And I've worked in production before, but I think that a lot of times what we see is the way people really take us in. So
Mm-hmm.
if I, like, for instance, Kira, right? And I want to ask you about that. One of the things that she says in her, we learned that she was a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, right? We also learned she's got a cheerleader's personality, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
100%.
she wore white boots. Very, very symbolic of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
Shoes. Look at the white shoes. Yeah,
So if somebody were to say, the one with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, that would be that's how people think. When
yeah,
we meet people, we remember what stands out about them.
that's
We remember you saying, I don't like wearing clothes. I would try to, you always wanted to have your shirt off. That's a part of you. It may not be the only part, but it is a very big part. With Marvin, if you meet a man and he tells you that he's into that is going to stand out. That
yeah,
is going to be
yeah,
what I remember the most. So I think sometimes we want people to digest us in our entirety, which
yeah,
is someone who takes the time to get to know you will. But the most people just know Q is buff. She's
yeah,
pretty. She's that, like,
yeah,
that's really all it is. So I don't necessarily think that. I think a lot of times editing gets most people I know when I see them on reality TV, I'll be like, that's them.
yeah,
That may not be what they think of themselves, but we
yeah.
don't usually see ourselves the way other people do.
Facts.
So,
100%. 100%.
but I
100%.
do think it would have been nice to know what you saw in Janelle that drew you, because most of the comments, when we hear you say Lee was so sweet and we saw that side of her, it's hard to understand what made you so committed to Janelle, because we did not see that side of her. So that's why I would like you to kind of share with us, what was it about Janelle that made you fall for her to the point where you were willing to let lead, knowing that she's a sweet girl, no,
Mhm.
let that go, to the point that it was the way it was. People really felt bad for her on the trip, because it was like
Mhm.
he really ain't feeling her at all.
Okay, so I'll answer why I connected with Janelle, and then I'll explain the trip, right? Because that's what everybody's like. So with Janelle, I'm huge on friendship, right? Obviously, I'm a man of Omega Psi Phi fraternity incorporated, so friendship is essential to the soul. I grew up. My brothers and sisters are 10 plus years older than I am, so I grew up after like 6 or 7. I grew up as an only child, so um, I always look for friends. Friendship is the biggest thing that I look for when I'm dating in general.
Mhm.
I I gotta be we gotta be best friends. We gotta be joke like you gotta be like my nigga.
Yeah.
There's no if I feel like we are dating just to date and there's no, banter or anything like that, like I can't really get with it. I just can't. So right out the gate, in that conversation with Janelle, we had funny banter, we
Hmm.
were laughing, we were joking, and that's kind of all we did. We she had seen we were joking about movies, we had little jokes and everything like that. So that was probably the most genuine connection that I had, that I didn't really feel like I was on a show.
Yeah.
Um, Now with Lee, it was we had so much in common that in my mind, I was like, I have to explore this. She's a beautiful girl. We have so much in common. Like, I have to explore this
Hmm.
to see. But in my regular life, like if I didn't see any compatibility, any like funny banter or anything like that, like I probably would have exited a lot sooner. But Lee is an amazing woman, and we had so much in common. And I wanted to respect the process as well, and just like explore this. And I did. And granted, they didn't show it, but all up until the house, I was really exploring both connections.
It seemed like you guys didn't have any chemistry.
Yeah, and we really didn't. I think we tried our best to have some,
Hmm.
um, but there was nothing there wasn't much chemistry there. Um, and like I said, like that's what we both were kind of like. Yeah, we get along. Yeah, we have so much in common, but like are we really compatible? Do we really have chemistry? And so that's kind of where we were the entire process. Now,
Mhm.
granted, I didn't have any questions with Janelle throughout the whole time until it got to the end, and we were like the kid thing. Um,
Yeah.
so having no questions with somebody, I was like, well, cool, we can just vibe and go through the process.
Why didn't I wonder why didn't that, because you guys do have a little bit of an age difference. It's not as much as with Aries,
Yeah.
but did you guys just not get to that point in conversation prior to that? Because even when you guys were had to talk about deal breakers, it
Mhm.
seemed like we knew that Janelle had a few things that some of the other guys that wanted to get married within a year, and then didn't necessarily. She wanted to have children, but she was not. I think it was like she wanted to have one potentially. She was
Mhm.
also open to adoption. So did you guys not cover any of that until later in the process?
Now we talked about on the first date that we had, and they showed a little bit of it where we talked about kids. What was the date? The date where I think we were both in like pink or something. Because we talked about adoption, and I have a both of my parents had a kid, got married, and had me and my brother.
Okay.
So my dad doesn't like to talk about it, but he adopted my oldest brother.
Oh,
Um,
that's nice.
Um, so so going in when we had the conversation about kids and adoption and me finding out that she was adopted and she wanted to adopt, I was like, I'm definitely open to that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, and we can say that we want certain things, but it's all upon God's will, right? So
Absolutely.
I can say, yeah, I want 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, whatever like that, but God, that may not be in God's plan.
True.
And on this journey, we're only seeing each other for 5, 6 weeks. So in my mind, I'm saying, okay, that is something that we can discuss after the process is done.
Okay.
That's something that we can discuss as we continue to date, continue to get to know each other. So it wasn't something that I would say, I hear it. Oh, I can give you one and a dog, or however she joked. And then we can adopt and be like, all right, nope,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna choose myself. And to me, that would have been unfair to the connection that we had already built.
Mhm.
Same thing about with Aries and Phil. Now,
Mhm.
granted, from the outside eye, we thought Aries and Phil were good up until goddamn
We all did. Yeah. we,
were great.
we
But watching the show, I didn't know Aries was having like doubts like that.
yeah.
So, but even then, me and Janelle had the conversation about, I think it was they owed enough to each other to be like, you can still choose somebody, you know what I mean? Still
Yeah.
choose each other and still go in and embark on the outside. So the kid thing was definitely something, but it was something that, a conversation later could have been had and a decision could have been made.
I think that sometimes if a man is really in love with a woman and a woman is really in love with a man, sometimes like you said, you don't necessarily get exactly what you wrote down on paper.
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah, yeah.
love can make you be open to things.
Facts.
Um, I gotta just ask you this question outright, Quentin, because we saw a lot of ugliness, right, on the edit from Janelle,
Oh,
right?
wait. Let me go back to this house real quick.
Okay,
Back-
with Lee.
So So going into the house, right?
Hmm.
Going into the house, it was me, Marie, Phil, Chris in a car.
Hmm.
We all had our connections.
Hmm.
Everyone we're in a car talking about the different connections that we have, who we're going to be concentrating on in the house.
Hmm.
I was going to concentrate on Janelle. Marie was going to concentrate on Jessica. Phil
Hmm.
was obviously concentrating with
Aries.
these. And Chris was going to concentrate with Lee. Now, granted, I knew Lee didn't really like Chris like that,
Hmm.
but he said that they had been connecting. So, and he had this gift for her. Phil had some cupcakes and stuff for Aries because it was her birthday.
Hmm.
And so going into the house, very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, I think after the date with Lee and Muffin, we found out that we were going into a house, and I was like, "Yo, what's this house situation? What are we doing? Because this is gonna be a little bit stressful."
They do that every season though, and people are always stressed. Every season is a horrible thing.
I was definitely stressed. I was definitely stressed going into it. But on the ride up there and hearing that, Chris wanted to concentrate on Lee, I was like, all right, bet. Like I don't have to be too worried. And then once we got in the house, I kind of immediately I knew I wanted to do a couple things. I wanted to cook this chicken. Lee had requested, omega chicken, so I was like, all right, I can do that for her.
Mhm.
So as soon as I got in the house, I went straight to the grill.
Okay.
And we had a conversation out there, and I was still in that moment. I was like, I'm uncomfortable. Like I'm just cook. But honestly, at that grill, me, Marie, Jessica, and Janelle probably had one of the most like transparent moments like of the whole show. Jessica was feeding Maury, and we were just Janelle sitting in my lap. We were like that. It really just seemed like a family atmosphere.
Mhm.
We had came to the house and kicked it. Um,
I
and
really wish they showed us that because we didn't see
man,
connection between Jessica and Maria
man,
at all.
man, I was so mad that they didn't show that, and it was. I think it could have dispelled. I don't want to say a lot of rumors, but like it definitely could have. But in that moment, I felt the most comfortable, and I had said going into the house, I was like, "Well, I'm going to gravitate to whoever I feel most comfortable." And in that moment, it was Janelle. And so, like I said before, I'm either going to give 100%
Mhm.
or I'm going to give 0%. And
Yeah.
so for me, it was like I can't be all up on Janelle and hey baby, what you need and da da da, and then be like, and then Lee gave me the pass of like, hey, just you come up to the room whenever you get free. For me to do that, I didn't feel that was that was uncomfortable
Yeah. But
because
could you look, I guess looking back, is there a way that you could have communicated with Lee where you were at so that she didn't feel, because it did seem like she really just got kicked to the curb.
no 100%. I definitely could have had a conversation with her about it and really been transparent about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the moment, I failed, and so I really was just having a good time. Um, but I definitely look back at that and be like, I could have had a conversation with her. But at the same time, we're in the house, and I see Chris all in with Lee, and he got the shoes, and he's spending time with her. So I was like, okay, well, she good. Like I can really concentrate on Janelle because
Mhm.
Chris is concentrating with Lee. So that was my mindset going in before we got in the car. But once I knew Chris was concentrating on Lee, I was like, okay, well, she good. Like I ain't really got to worry too much about her.
So we want to just, I want to, before we move on from the house, because a lot of people said, oh, well, it made it seem like you were afraid. They were like, blink if you need help. You can't talk to the other ladies. That Janelle was like, and I said, Chris cannot be afraid of Janelle. I doubt that.
No.
But just answer the question. Did she make you feel like you could not speak to
No,
any of the other ladies?
man. No, man. I think it was just because, and very humbly, very very humbly, I think it was just because Kat wanted to talk to me. Like
Okay.
there were still things left unsaid between me and Lee. So there was still like, oh, there's still conversations that want to be had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because nobody said that about Phil and Aries. Nobody said, well, Aries isn't letting Phil talk to nobody else. No, Phil just only wanted to talk to Aries.
Well, but also Aries didn't act like that when someone else didn't. And what? Like, she didn't do all that either. So that kind of gives us a reason to say, is it a, because she said basically, I'll share right now. Like all that extra that Janelle was doing definitely fed into people thinking, well, Quentin is afraid.
Honestly, that was a kind of a playful banter that most of us were doing.
Okay.
Um, you saw it even at the hoedown when I saw Janelle and Herbert, and I'm like, hold on, y'all, a little
Yeah.
close,
Yeah.
a little close. That was banter that was going on throughout the whole show because hello, we're all dating each other, so
Yeah.
it's not, we can't really be jealous, but we kind of made light of it.
Mm.
And even Janelle at the moment, from what she said, thought her and Kat had that little banter um, beforehand. Like they didn't have a problem before, they blew up at the house. So to her understanding, it was just banter between them. But
Mm.
apparently not. Because even at the reunion, when I said, because I didn't think that warranted that type of animosity, but maybe it did. So
I wonder if that, because we know that there was other things, and I know that's none of your concern, that Janelle and Kat really got into it afterwards. That could not have all stemmed from that interaction
it
at the
couldn't
house.
have. It couldn't have. It couldn't have. It couldn't have. And I don't know what Kat's feeling was towards it. I know she said on reunion, it's just Janelle just rubs her the wrong way, or how she talks to certain people and everything like that. And so,
But we saw you talk to her in the house. There's a clip,
mhm,
the digital clip,
yeah,
where you tried to. It seemed like, just from my interpretation, you were trying to suggest to her that maybe her getting into it with the other ladies, maybe the way she had handled it was not. Maybe there was fault on both sides, and
yeah.
she was like, no. So why did you have that conversation if you really didn't think that she had done any? Didn't think there was anything wrong with what she was saying.
Well, I didn't say that I didn't think anything was wrong, but it was more so like the way that she allowed it to affect her.
Okay.
So in the conversation in the house, I was like, okay, listen, because people, you never know what triggers somebody, right?
True.
So you never know why somebody's going to blow up or have the reaction that they did. So in the conversation that we had, it was more so like, hey, you reacted how you reacted, it's over with.
Yeah.
But how you move going forward is really indicative of your character.
True.
So, and that was the biggest thing I tried to convey to her. I was just said, listen, I don't care that you blew up. I don't care. You're like, it is what it is. But moving forward, like I want you to don't let it get to you,
Yeah.
because we're here to have a good time. We're here to continue to get to know each other. Like let's not let it fester.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but some people are different. You know what I mean? And Janelle is very proud. She's a very confident woman. She doesn't like when people cross her. If you cross her, she's gonna unload the clip. That's just who she is. But her and Kat had a conversation after that, and so they kind of squashed whatever was going on.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't show that, but they had a conversation after the whole blow up and kind of made amends. But
What's your opinion on that, though? Because for somebody that proud is one thing, but to respond to anybody that's different than you or thinks different than you,
mhm,
that type of just, I'm going to take you out, I'm going to empty the clip. Do
yeah.
you agree? How does that? Are you okay with your partner being that way, or is that something that you wanted her to work on?
Definitely something that I would want her to work on. And that's what I was saying in that conversation as well. Like let's and every time I've had a conversation, even when we went on live and she started saying something, I'm like, just relax, like just let it go. Just don't put the Glock away. Um,
No need for the Glock or for
no
war.
need, no need, no need for it. But that was something that we didn't get a chance to explore and say, like, have a conversation. Why does things really get to you, and you feel like you have to do that?
Right. Right.
So
Because
so
everybody's triggered differently, so there's obviously something that's
yeah,
causing that.
yeah. So that's where I would have started anyway, because you can't tell somebody to fix a behavior if you don't know where it stems from.
That's true.
So in
Yeah.
in the things that she displayed or anybody else displayed is saying, okay, cool. this has to stem from somewhere. Let's find where it comes from, and then let's attack it. Because my mother is probably the most non-judgmental person ever.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that from her. So I wasn't going to judge her for the actions that she had in the house. I was just going to figure out where did it come from.
Yeah.
Where did it really stem from? But we never got there. It was just more so like, hey, I just want you to not let it bother you. Let's continue to have a good time. Let's move forward, and just go that way.
Okay. Let's take a pivot back to the situation with Kira, because I will start this by saying she did come on and said she was 100% wrong for how she approached you about the question that she asked you, but it also sparked a really huge social media conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to ask you your opinion. How did you feel? You seemed really taken aback and insulted, and you had a right to feel that way when Kira asked you, "Did you prefer dating outside of your race?" Um, how did you? How did that? What did we not see about that conversation, and how did you feel when she asked you that?
Um, hold on. I'm sorry. Um, I wasn't too offended by it. I was more so like caught off guard because I just wanted to know where it came from.
Yeah.
People are going to, like she said in a reunion, like people are going to prejudge and whatnot. But when, and this is just speculation, if somebody prejudges Kira, it's more so because of her bubbliness and saying how she talks or anything like that. So somebody can be like, oh well, I thought X, Y, and Z because of
Mm-hmm.
your bubbliness or how you talk or whatever like that. So on my side, I was like, well, where's it coming from?
Yeah.
As you got to give me something so that I can at least be aware of it or whatever or whatnot. And then she just was like, it was a vibe. So I hate that she got the amount of backlash that she got because nobody deserves that. Even with Janelle, like I get it, like, but that that's just a lot for people to deal with online and people coming at you like that. But Kira is just I didn't want her to get that much backlash, but I mean, she kind of like shot herself in the foot with
Yeah.
what she was saying and the back and forth between what she asked me and what she was saying to Maurier. Now, what I will say is production kind of fed into that too,
Yeah.
because not only her, but Unique had asked me that question too. So in my mind, production was like, hey, we want y'all both to ask that question.
Yeah.
Um,
Crucified, and the rest of the cast crucified Kira for it, and we never even knew that Unique, asked the
Yeah,
question.
yeah. Unique had asked me that question as well. So that's kind of where production is just gonna feed into a story because of uh what they have on tape and what they can spin into it. So it kind of sucks on her end, because I know that probably tested a lot of her confidence and who she is and what she stands for. But
I think she got a good lesson, because I think some of the statements that she made, it seems to me that it would make sense that she would ask that, because I grew up in Oklahoma.
Mhm.
I'm a Sooner bred, Sooner, all the way to
By
my
the way.
absolutely. So I grew up around a lot of black guys that played football that did only date white girls, right?
Mhm.
So with her being a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, I'm certain in Texas she was around a lot of athletes that
Yeah,
preferred other than her. Because when you are a cheerleader and you're black, a lot of times those guys don't want a black girl. So I feel like she was probably projecting what she's experienced.
yeah,
And by her specifically being in majority white spaces, she definitely has dealt with that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And if that was the case, that's completely fine.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a football player. I've seen a lot of football players, and they usually date white women. So that's kind of where I got that from.
Right.
I get it. I was on a football team. I
Right.
know teammates that only date white women. You know what I mean? So um, I think I was just looking for
Why?
yeah, just why,
Yeah.
just why.
Yeah.
Not because I'm from Florida, because I mean, there's not even that many white girls down there. I mean, it's all
But you
So
know what's funny though? The season in Miami that came up a lot. Like that came up a lot. That a lot of and off the record. I'm not gonna out anybody online, but there were some of the guys that did acknowledge to me that they don't necessarily date Black women. They date Latina women like that were from Florida. So that was a huge thing during that season. People like these guys don't even like any of these women on the show because that's not their type. And I really want a Black woman. You know.
yeah. Well, I can be completely honest and say I love Black women. I love Latina women. I've dated both. I've never dated a white woman. I've had relations with white women, but
He was giving us the real. I have had relations.
I have had relations. I'm not going to sit here and be like white women repulse me. No, it's a couple of them, but I never dated them. I want, like I said before, I want Black love. My parents have been married 40 plus years. The grandparents were married 71 years. So I want Black love. And so yeah,
Yeah.
I would never date a white woman because the cultural differences are too much.
Yeah.
And the banter that I want to have with my partner, you got to be able to, if I say a life quote,
They got to know.
I need you to know, I need you to catch up on it. So yeah.
You to be able to sit and watch Martin and
Yeah, 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 yeah. And it's
same thing.
like we've seen it 10 times already.
Yeah.
You know, not like this is my first time. And yeah.
So Quentin, of course, everybody was watching the reunion, and
Mhm.
we got to you and Janelle on the sofa,
Mhm.
and we were not convinced that the relationship was in full swing. And then, of course, you acknowledged after that, after
Mhm.
the reunion was over, that you guys did not work.
Yeah.
Actually thankful that you are sharing with us that it was real because we didn't see anything. So I was like,
Yeah.
how is this even really going on? Because all we're seeing is her and the other ladies going back and forth. And then that he seems very into her, but we
The
just understand how you got there. So I
yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
you being honest about that. But what happened? What happened after the show?
So, like I said, when I date, I like everything to kind of just flow. Like as far as like, I want to be intentional about what how we're moving, but I don't want to. If I feel like there's a deadline, or if I feel like I'm pressured or anything like that, like I'm gonna back away.
Mm-hmm.
And so, once the taping ended, it was to me, I felt like, oh shit, like we're together, like we're in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But in reality, like we were still just dating. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't no pressure to it. But in my mind, I was like, damn, I feel like we're in a relationship. And that was a lot of pressure on me. And I think with that pressure that was added, I kind of went like a day or two times without talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that second time, I hit her and I was like, hey, I don't want to waste your time. Like I feel like
Damn.
I'm not there yet. And we had a real conversation to where like I was brought to tears because I felt like I was ready to embark on a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I think the pressure from the show, and then like it was so abrupt, like, okay, boom, show ended. Now it's like, okay, now you have to get right into it. And to
Yeah.
me and to us, it's like we're trying to get our lives back together. You know what I mean? So it was like me trying to get my life back together, and but now I have to be as intentional and see about how this dating life is going to go. And it was at the time it was too much for me. So I end up I'm gonna say breaking it off, but yeah, we're still friends. Still talked to her yesterday, talked to her today, so we're still good.
That is disappointing to hear. Do you think that if you met her, you want to say hi? No. Okay.
He said, "Nah."
Yeah, no. So do you think if
I
you met
want that physically fit nigga you was talking about earlier.
Oh, don't make me drive to Dallas.
look, how you gotta say hi since you did that? He got his hair braided, so he is. You want to say hi to Quentin?
Hey, what's going on, Quentin?
What's going on, bro?
Come down into the light,
Oh,
man.
My knees bad too, bro. It's all good.
Hey, when I was watching, I was like, I hope I don't have to make a trip to
Nah,
Dallas,
don't make the trip, bro.
or
Not, no,
or even pull out some divorce papers.
Oh, oh. Get on up get on up. But let me finish talking to Quentin. He's just being he's being silly. But that's disappointing to hear. Do you think if you guys met outside the show, things would have been different? And do you think that there could have been like maybe like some time where you said let's just take some time and then take it slow?
Well, to me, it was no taking slow. You know what I mean? Especially with Janelle because of where she's at. You know, yeah. So, and it's all respect to her, but it was like, all right, do I continue to be slow with her, or do I just get out of the way for her to find somebody else that kind of aligns more with her timeline?
Okay, the timeline.
Yeah. Because I mean, just getting out of the show and starting to dating, like she said, she wanted to be married by the end of the year, and you know what I mean, whatever like that. And for me, and I know I saw like, well, why is Herbert like not okay? Is Q okay with that timeline? And what like, but for me, I move very fast. I'm okay with moving fast as long as we're intentional about what we're doing, as long as we're having conversations and everything like that. So the year marriage thing didn't really scare me, but to me it was like, as long as we do the work to get there, I'm good with that. As long as we're both pulling up, as long as we're both in a position to do that, I'm good with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't.
I gotta ask you, do you think that because a lot of people have made a comment about we heard Red making a few comments at the reunion. He said that she knew where home was, and then he asked, oh, is this exclusive? So we kind of picked up on what Red was putting down. And do you think that Red may have took your girl?
No, man.
No.
Red ain't with nobody, man.
Red was just playing to the camera.
Yeah. Red is just, and I think Red. Now I don't know. You have to have I don't know if you've talked to Red or not, but the conversation but the connection between them two, I think they both have like the kind of mindset, like Red said on the reunion. Somebody light the fire, I'm pouring gasoline on that motherfucker. So I think
he did. He when he came on, he did. He basically really led us to believe that there was really a lot to that connection that we didn't see. And that's another thing. We didn't even see that she had a connection. We didn't see a connection between anybody besides you or Herbert with Janelle. So to hear that she and Red had a connection was a surprise.
Now, me and Janelle hadn't even gone on a one-on-one date before Red was eliminated. So
you letting us know, like when you stepped into the picture, Red was out of there.
If you look back at the hoedown, and people probably didn't catch it, Janelle was wearing my hat the whole time.
Oh, we caught it.
Janelle was wearing my hat the whole time. So it's like, even with, but that was the banter, right? That was like the, nah, bro, she mine, or nah, like you can't. So that was kind of like the banter that I thought everyone. I don't know how much.
I will tell you this, Q. Women don't banter like that as much as men do. Yeah. Ain't nobody saying that. That one right there. No banter. I didn't have to tell these ladies in the chat to stop saying he was fine. That is not. Women don't do that as much as men. So I could see the women. We don't play around quite like that. Yeah. I think you and Herbert were more mature when it came to that, but I don't think the ladies was we don't do that. We don't do that. Well, I hate that. But I think that you're definitely, I'm glad we got a chance to talk to you because you definitely come off very different than we got a chance to see on the show. And I can understand why, Janelle. Part of the reason, with you guys having the age difference, a lot of people thought maybe you weren't as much, mature enough, but talking to you, it makes sense that she would be very attracted to you because you definitely, come off as more mature than your age would suggest.
Thank you.
But yeah. So would you do another dating reality show? Where you?
Absolutely not. I would not do another dating, just because that's not how I operate. That's not how I want to meet my person. That's not a dating show is not where I want to be at.
Yeah.
I want to randomly meet my person walking down the sidewalk or something like that. Like I don't want to be on a dating show. I don't want to get on the dating apps. I don't want to holler at nobody in the club. Like I want it to be like, hey, you just bumped into me? Oh, damn, you kind of fine. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like I want that genuine reaction, that genuine connection. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. So no, I'd be open to doing. Let me not lie. I think I'd be open to doing reality TV or some type of TV, but I think I would mostly just want to just get into commercials or anything like that. I think the whole reality TV thing is tough. And it I think I saw in one of your other interviews, like you got to be really confident to hop on reality TV because these people
Mhm.
will come at you, man. And I know there's been a lot of talk, not only about me, but Kira and Janelle and Mari and all these other people. So like you really gotta have thick skin
Yeah.
to know who you are,
Mhm.
because if there's any question
You
in
are going to
the
get
comments,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And that was the only thing I felt bad um with Tequila, because on
Hmm.
the show, um in the men's lounge, in the men's lounge, I gave the best description about like kind of where she was, because all the men were just like, well, she's up and down and I get this and I get that. And from the relationship that I had prior, a woman had dealt with depression and anxiety. I could kind of see how Tequila was projecting a lot.
Yeah.
And so when I gave that description, production pulled me up to the side and was like, "Hey, that was beautiful. Can we have you do the elimination date?" And I was like, "That's kind of backward," but I said, "Sure." And so seeing the effects that it has on her,
Yeah.
it's damning. But I don't think she is self aware enough to know it.
Mm.
I would love for her to kind of just do some more work on herself, and not like saying, I don't want to be offensive, but I
Yeah.
just I've seen someone with her behavior before.
Hmm.
And so seeing that, I can kind of see the disconnect from the show and her confidence versus all the backlash that she was getting, and how it affects her. And I hate that it affects in the same way as affects Kira or Janelle or anybody else, but like you never want it to be that effective to somebody that it hurts them.
Yeah. Well, I think with Tequila, I will echo that sentiment. I think, and I've said this on the show because she came on the show, and I think that if you're not, and it's not easy, and I think all of us deal with self-esteem. Some of the most confident people, or people that claim they're the most confident, really are struggling as well. I think everyone struggles with self-esteem
Yeah.
from time to time, specifically when you're on a national platform. That's not easy. But if you have issues that you're struggling with, then a lot of times, specifically as women, I can only speak to being a woman. There
Mm-hmm.
was a situation where Marie said he actually liked Tequila and she just counted herself out.
No, 100%.
That is a sign that you're not confident, like you can't even receive the love because
Yeah.
you're projecting how you feel. And I hope that she does get some help.
Yeah.
um I would also say, and you probably won't agree with me, I would also say some of the behavior that Janelle exhibited,
Mm-hmm.
specifically towards the other women, making fun of Kira not having a real bag,
Yeah.
for someone that is, living their life as as a Christian. We all make mistakes, but
Mhm.
I feel like she can be even better. And confidence does not mean, if your confidence rests upon making other people feel bad, then
Mhm.
that's not real confidence. And I don't think we saw that from any of the men. We didn't see, you know who you are, you know that you're an attractive guy. You don't have to point out someone else's fault in order to be attractive. And I feel like that's especially so with women. You don't have to make
Well,
others feel small to feel big.
I think the biggest thing with Janelle and I think she definitely was projecting, but that's why I say, figuring out why.
Yeah.
That you really got to figure out why the behavior is that way. I
For
don't.
both of her, everybody, Tequila,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everybody, even
Yeah,
Red with some of his, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this,
yeah.
like, real confidence is not loud.
Facts.
um and I did a show because of the situation with Tequila about mental health. I have a girlfriend that was on Ready to Love the first season, and I've talked to several castmates because I do this, and a lot of them have said people really do need therapy after going on this show, after going on reality TV, period.
Yeah.
So
I,
I appreciate you saying that.
yeah, I think the psych eval that we have is thorough, but I
Right.
think I don't know the process that they have with someone coming out of it.
Yeah.
Because it's all automated, right? Like, would you do this and would you do that, and you're just clicking through it. And
Mhm.
as with any test, you can kind of,
If you're smart enough, you could figure out the right answers.
you know what I mean. So I think everyone has definitely something that they can work on. I think the largest ones was Red, Tequila, and even Janelle. I don't think Janelle deals with um, depression and anxiety, but when you have someone who is an entrepreneur for 20 years and has worked to the point that she gets to, she's very proud. You know what I mean? And so her confidence comes in the things that she's been able to acquire for herself. And so, even just with the bag thing, it's like someone who's, and I'm just guessing, but someone who's, if I work every day for $1 and I'm able to purchase some Air Force One sneakers, and then I see someone who doesn't, what I mean, not to say like I'm gonna be more proud of the real ones that I was work harder to get than somebody who didn't, maybe. But
That's I will I yeah, I don't we can agree to disagree because I think that if you work hard to achieve, then you should be proud of yourself. But again, being proud of yourself doesn't mean pointing out, and especially for someone that's younger than you.
yeah,
Period. No, I don't think there's any, but that's also a maturity level. And it's also just, some people are perfectly fine making fun of other people. And if that's the case, but I just think that we all, as African Americans on the Oprah Winfrey Network, should
right,
be trying to present, because, that doesn't really tell the measure of a man what they're able to buy. The
right,
measure of man is shown in your character, and a woman. And again, we all make mistakes. So I'm not coming down on her. I'm just saying
yeah,
we can't condone that behavior. And being successful doesn't mean you can be hateful towards others.
yeah. No, I don't mean that she's allowed to be hateful or anything like that. But I'm just trying to give the best point of view of maybe where she.
You cared about her, so you can feel
Yeah,
her.
and I think a lot of people just want to see me just like degrade her and talk bad about her,
No,
and that's not
no,
that's
I don't want you to do that. But I think even with Tequila, I don't like the way Tequila. I do not condone
yeah,
way she spoke. But that doesn't mean that I dislike her, but her behavior was wrong. I
yeah,
don't like the way Janelle spoke, but I don't have any issue against her. I don't like the way she spoke. And I think that's a
yeah,
bad example for a black woman to do towards other women. But that doesn't mean that you're saying anything about the person. I'm
yeah,
saying the behavior is wrong.
yeah,
And Chris's behavior was wrong as well. That
yeah,
was horrifying, but he apologized. So I just think it's an opportunity for everybody to learn and grow. Most importantly, thank you so much for being honest. And I just want you to know that the intent, well, if anyone does have the intent, that is not my intent. It has never been for you to talk badly about anybody, but just to be
yeah,
honest about your experience.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
that being said, any last words that you want to say, anything that you want to say to the viewing audience, before you leave, just about this season and your experience?
I thoroughly enjoyed my experience on the show. I want to give love to every one of my castmates.
Nice.
I think there's been a lot of, alliance talk and all this other stuff. And for me, I think with the connection that I had between me and Janelle just kind of like lumped us together. And
Mhm.
that's fine. But I never had any animosity towards any of the other women. I know I offended. Lee had posted something the other day, and I hit Lee immediately, and I was like, that was kind of petty, Lee. Like, what's really going on? And so we had a conversation, and she felt disrespected from the things from the TikToks I had made, or me being on live, and you know Janelle saying something about her and me not defending her. So with me, I just want to show respect and give love to everybody. Like, I don't want anybody to feel like they can't speak to me, or I don't want to speak to them. But for me, it wasn't about forming friendships. And I know Kat was like, you could at least talk to me as a friend. I'm not.
Yeah, that's fair. And if you had done that, then she might have felt like you were leading her on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people got that kind of misconstrued in the process, where it was just like, do y'all have a connection, or are y'all just like texting?
Yeah.
Because Marvin felt like he had a great connection with Lee,
And she didn't feel that.
and she didn't feel that way. But because they were conversing, Lee did a great job of talking to multiple people,
Mhm.
but there was no connection. And I didn't want to do that, because I'm a man that's been in hospitality. I know how to talk to any and everybody.
Mhm.
I can have a conversation with you,
Yeah.
and you may seem like, oh well, I talked to Q and we have a great conversation, and you may think that's connection, and all the while I'm just giving you conversation. And
Yeah.
so I
No,
don't.
I appreciate you being genuine, and because we've had other men go to play it as long as they can. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? I think the reason that people thought there was an alliance was because we didn't see the dates. So it seemed like,
yeah, no, yeah.
Q has no connections, but yet he stayed to the end. How's that possible?
I really should have been eliminated, though.
What
I
they
really should have. I really should have, because there was six women, and I wasn't talking to nobody. I really should have. Let's just be honest. I
That's
really
a
should
great
have.
way to end the interview. Q and after all this, Q says, you know what? He robbed the bank. He really should have been
Really
eliminated.
should have been eliminated. I wasn't talking to nobody. But no, I appreciate you having me.
No, thank you so much for coming. And I suggest you do something that is reality TV action packed. You seem like somebody that could really, do some fun stuff on one of the reality shows. It's all about physicality. So we wish you well. Please come back if you have more to share with
Sure.
us. And we wish you well in love. I think if you continue on the journey that you are, that you will definitely make someone an amazing mate, and you will definitely get an amazing woman if you keep being authentic. I believe that.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
All right. Have a great evening. Thanks again, Q. All right. So there you heard it. We have wrapped up this season of Ready to Love Dallas. It is over. That is our last interview for this season. I hope you guys got something out of it. I think Q had a lot of great feedback, specifically about just his own healing journey and acknowledging as a man that he really wanted to do the work. I appreciated him not leading the other women on, and also acknowledging that maybe he could have had a conversation with Lee prior to the house. I think that was huge of him. And I think we ended on a great note. Outside of that, you guys, I will see you here on Friday. Now, you guys have told me that you're going to be here for Mo and I's recap of Ready to Love, Make a Move. We're going to New Orleans next. And we have Sharice, Zadia, Ashley, and to Sharice, Zadia, Ashley, and Bernicia are going to be meeting men in the Big Easy and working with a matchmaker to find love. It's going to be interesting, and we'll be here for it. 10 o'clock Friday night. I'll see you guys and have a beautiful week. I love you for watching. And please make sure before you leave, you hit the likes in these comments. Q gave us a great interview, so make sure you hit them likes, and I'll see you guys on Friday.